A very warm welcome everyone, my name is Nick and welcome to what is becoming sort of like a monthly roundup on the channel where we look at all the games we reviewed in the last month or so and try and put the retro ones at least into an order, the top 6, the ones I most enjoyed. Now originally on the channel this used to be once a week, then it was once every 2 weeks, and now it's once a month as time becomes more limited, but that just creates an extra bit of competition for those games that get into the top 6. Now having said that, there hasn't been a great deal of super brilliant games in the last month. Battle of the Toothpaste Tubes, let me remind you, if you've been watching all of them. So yeah, be interested to see what makes the top 6. Now retro gaming, well the homebrew ones on the ZX Spectrum we don't really include in the top 6 because that would be unfair competition. But let's have a touch on those first of all. Two very similar games, one was a modification of the first one, but we looked at 4K Race by PAOLO FERRARIS in 2004, a rather splendid Formula 1 game which won the 2005 minigame competition that was going on the time with just 4K of coding. No, it's not on a 4K television or anything, so don't get excited there, it's 8-bit. Now this game moves incredibly fast, it's on the 128K this one, although it does run on the 48K but extremely slowly. Excellent game. You've got to go through 6 checkpoints to get to the end. I didn't really do that, and you're in a Formula 1 car and you must avoid all the other cars which are a lot slower than yours, so going left and right before the time runs out. A very addictive game and a worthy winner of that 2005 competition. And then PAOLO FERRARIS the following year did a few extra tweaks to the game which made it even better. The tweaks included putting the horizon further away, the cars were bigger and the road was wider, taking up more of the screen, and it was a much more enjoyable experience. I love playing 4K Race, but 4K Race Refueled, the modification there, just kicked it into the shade. So really good game, really impressive. I'd love to see a Grand Prix season mode, but I'm not sure that's ever going to happen. But I'll certainly be keeping an eye out if PAOLO FERRARIS produces anything else, but this was back over 10 years ago now, so there we go. We're having a look at pinball games every Thursday when we get sort of like a time. This time's been no different. In the last month we looked at 2 pinball arcade games which are recreations of real life tables and 2 fantasy tables from Zen Studios. All of these were released in 2018. The pinball arcade tables were the last 2 in season 6. Season 6 had a few lackluster tables, and when I look at these I prefer Farsight Studios season 1 and season 2, but I think they was picking on the best games. But anyway, we looked at Cactus Jacks, which is a recreation of the table by Gottlieb from 1991. Not a great deal to do here, but it's nice to see these tables recreated. I would like to see ones recreated from the 30s and 40s, very early games, but I don't think they will sell very well, so I doubt Farsight will ever actually do anything like that. So Cactus Jacks, Gottlieb, 1991. And the other table was, which I preferred out of the last 2 I reviewed, because the month before we looked at Ours Big Garage Band World Tour or something like that, or Goes on a World Tour, I always get that name mixed up. This one was better than that. Swords of Fury by Williams from 1988. The colour scheme and some of the sounds reminds me a lot like Black Knight and Black Knight 2000, which are also by Williams, and that isn't a bad thing because Black Knight 2000, or Black Knight the original, was an absolutely fantastic and classic table. Swords of Fury isn't quite as good as that, but 1988, well worth looking at both those 2. I'm not sure if I'll buy season 7 yet of Pinball Arcade. We'll wait to see how quickly the other tables will be produced. And the fantasy tables we looked at on Pinball FX3 by Zen Studios, again in 2018, was a 3 tables been released with the Jurassic Park license, which is great. The first one we looked at was Jurassic World, based on the full film from the franchise, released in 2015. In the film, the tourists are actually going to an actual open park and it all goes wrong again. The table is okay, but I wanted it to be slightly better than it was. It's executed well, some rather cool mini games where velociraptors jump out of the table, or at least their heads do, and quite a lot to unlock. It's like a dark and moody table, could have been a bit more fun in my humble opinion. And the other table was Jurassic Park, based on the popular first film from 1993, and the modes and things you have to do follow the events of that film quite closely. Yeah, some great sounds on this. I always like dinosaurs roaring, and lots of good modes as well. I prefer this one to the Jurassic World table. And next Thursday, hopefully time permitting, we'll look at Jurassic Park Pinball Mayhem, and it's got the word mayhem in it, so it must be good. One thing that worries me a little bit, although these tables were good, it does rather hinder Farsight Studios getting the license to create the real-life Jurassic Park table, which was pretty cool, so it's probably hindered that. So pluses and minuses there, but I would say, if you can get those Jurassic Park tables, even PS4, Xbox One or Steam, and you're into pinball, it's well worth investing. So we'll come to the top 6 then. A few didn't make it, Costa Capers, and as I say, Battle of the Toothpaste Tubes, because that was just too frustrating. In 6th place, on the Commodore Amiga, I've got Harley-Davidson by Mindscape in 1990. Now, I didn't enjoy playing this game at all, but I wasn't playing it, according to the comments, I wasn't playing it in the right way. I was playing it like a racing game, trying to get as quick as I can, and because of that, I was getting nowhere fast. In Harley-Davidson, you're a Hell's Angel, and you don't have to go as fast as possible. You've got to keep under the speed limit, pull over broken down drivers and assist them, and do other nice jobs and be an all-round good guy. Now, it's a problem for me playing a racing game going under the speed limit and slow, a bit similarly if you was playing Grand Theft Auto and committing no crimes and driving around keeping to the laws. It's not possible, and it frustrated me. So it's a relaxing game. Some people would have liked this, so I've crept it into top 6, although for me it was a frustrate fest. Okay, and in 5th place, on the ZX Spectrum, based on the TV series, the cartoon, I've got THUNDERCATS by Elite Systems in 1987. Again, not perfect. I played it with a poke on because I found it too difficult. But if you put the practice in, you're going to get good. You control the character of Lion-O in this 2D horizontal scroller, and you must rescue all the other THUNDERCATS who've been kidnapped by Mole Man and the evil Mum-Ra. I seem to die every 2 seconds here, but you must rescue all of your fellow THUNDERCATS, Chitara, Panthro, Tigra, and the other ones, and at the same time rescue the Eye of Thundera, which all you THUNDERCAT people will know that it's the jewel that goes in the Sword of Omens, which gives Lion-O all his power. Hurrah! Or the sword its power, at least one of the two. It's not perfect by any means, but THUNDERCATS fans would have liked it. I don't think, I might be wrong, that it wasn't intended to be a THUNDERCATS game during creation, but suddenly got the THUNDERCATS license right at the end. And in 4th place, I put a rather accomplished game for the time, but hasn't aged particularly well, TT Racer by Digital Integration in 1986 on the ZX Spectrum. The view you take is over the handlebars of the bike, and you can get a bit dizzy as it leans backward and forward. It plays a bit like you're in a flight simulation, the sort of leaning. It's difficult going around the corners, but if you put in the practice, you're going to get it. And the good thing about this game is it's got so many options. Practice, race, lots of different tracks, although they do look roughly the same. And you can control the amount of laps you're doing. Overtaking is a bit weird because you can just run into people and they seem to go really small and underneath your bike, which is a little bit strange. So it hasn't aged particularly well, but at the time it would have been the best 8-bit simulation you could possibly get. So I put that into 4th. In 6th place then, in summary, is Harley-Davidson on the Commodore Amiga by Mindscape in 1990. In 5th place, THUNDERCATS by Elite Systems on the ZX Spectrum in 1987. And in 4th place, TT Racer by Digital Integration in 1986. So what's in the top 3 then? Well, 3rd place is a game that was good, but I didn't really get on with it that well. Barbarian, The Ultimate Warrior by Palace Software in 1987. Come out on a lot of systems, this, but it was controversial at the time for its quite racy design of the box cover, the cassette tape it come in, which was Wolf out of Gladiators and the page 3 model, Maria Whittaker. Probably sold a few copies just for that. But I was just doing button mashing to get forward, a bit of a tongue twister that, in this one. But if you learnt the moves, it's quite a satisfying move where your sword, you can cut off your opponent's head. The idea is you must rescue the princess in the style of Conan the Barbarian, I guess, which was also out at a similar time. I didn't progress too far. You must defeat the evil sorcerer at some point, rescue the princess, and then that's that. A lot of people will love this, so I put it in 3rd place. I think it's quite accomplished, large sprites, but, you know, it's okay, I suppose. In 2nd place, on the Commodore Amiga, a game that came long before games like Metal Slug, or I don't know if Metal Slug was influenced by this, you can sort of see the similarities, but it's RUBICON on the Commodore Amiga, published by 21st Century in 1992. The story of this game is there's been a nuclear attack and mutations of the animals, and you must go in and kill all these mutations, clear the area, and put things back together again. The storyline doesn't really fit the graphics, almost as if they made that up afterwards, because the levels seem to be you going back in time. At some point you seem to be on a different planet entirely with strange moons in the sky, so it doesn't really fit the profile that you're on Earth clearing mutations, unless space has mutated as well, which would be a rather odd thing to happen. But quite fun, this game, very difficult again, so I played it with a cheat to show you at least some of the stages, and the end of level bosses are quite big and exciting. Sounds alright, could have done with a thumping soundtrack all the way through it, but you can't have everything. This was on 1992. A lot of people wouldn't have heard of this game, so Rubicon, check that out. What have I put in first place? Well, as I said, there's quite a lot of duff games this week, or this month I should say, so competition was maybe not as heated as it has been, but it's good to see these rubbish games as well. But at number one, it was quite a basic game from my favourite era of ZX Spectrum gaming, was Panic, from the converted from the arcades by MIKRO in 1983. It's quite basic, but quite fun and addictive. Reminds me of Level 3 of Horace and the Spiders, one of my favourite games of all time, although that was a lot more advanced. Essentially, you control a guy going around a maze, a one-screen maze with ladders up and down. You must hack holes in the ground, and then aliens fix those holes, and then you hack the alien to death when he's repairing the hole. If he repairs the hole and you don't get to him, they become ever powerful, and you have to then knock them through more holes simultaneously. If you complete the level, then there's more aliens on the next level, and it just goes on and on and on until you die. You know, 1983, so years and years and years ago, probably the oldest game we reviewed in this month, and it comes to number one. Hooray! So, in third place is Barbarian by Palace Software in 87. In second place I put Rubicon on the Amiga by 21st Century Entertainment in 1992. And in first place is Panic by MIKRO in 1983. Now, thank you for watching all the videos, or partial of the videos, people that have done so, and people that have commented as well. It's really, really appreciated. And in this era of YouTube, it really makes a big difference to the channel, especially people that re-watch older videos and comment on them as well. It's all very, very good. I'll continue to try and put up the content as well, so we've got a bit of a catalogue to draw from now. So thank you once again, it is really appreciated. If you watch a lot of these videos and you haven't subscribed yet, please do so, because that makes me aware that the channel's going in the right direction to get a true value there. And yeah, so have a great week. Thanks for watching again. If you've got your own order there of these games, then put that below. Until next time, take great care of yourself and a very fond goodbye. Goodbye.